What if I told you there was one thing that 10x'd my productivity? And what if I told you that this one thing not only 10x'd my productivity, but also 10x'd the quality of my life as a whole? Now, what is that one thing? That thing is Sally. But not necessarily Sally, but rather doing this. You see, that wasn't just Sally, that was Negative Thally. And Negative Thally is always complaining about everything. She's always complaining about her love life, about her work life, and the worst part is that she does absolutely nothing to fix any of those things. And not only would she complain all the time about her life, but every time that I would tell her about something that I wanted to do, she would be completely negative and just tell me over and over again how it wasn't gonna work out. Now on the real though, Sally is actually a great little whatever doll thing. And we have her outside for our fall decorations. I'm sorry I had to throw you like that, Sally. It was just for the video. Do you forgive me? She forgives me. Anyways, the point of all that is that cutting out negative people and cutting out negativity could be the key to fulfilling your potential and 10xing your productivity and your quality of life. But first, it's important to understand exactly why and how negativity is so contagious. And thankfully, there's been research studies and scientific studies conducted into this exact topic. And what they found is that negativity is in fact incredibly contagious. And so when Negative Thally is going on about how you're never going to do anything with your life, that becomes contagious. Or when she's just being negative about all the things that are going wrong in her life, then that becomes contagious as well. And you start to look at your life in a more negative light. And if you're looking at your life in a negative light, you are never going to get anything done. And you're not going to feel good about yourself. So what does science say about negativity and its contagious effect? Well, there is something known as the emotional contagion effect. An article published in the British Medical Journal entitled Dynamic Spread of Happiness in a Large Social Network found not only that we are profoundly influenced both positively and negatively by other people, but that this influence extends up to 3 degrees of separation. In other words, it's not just your friends that matter, but your friends' friends. And if we're getting super specific with it, 3 degrees of separations means my friend, first degree, their friend, second degree, and their friend, third degree. So your friends, friends, friends. Now I like to think of this as being similar to the old saying that goes, it's not just what you eat, but what you eat eats. In other words, if you eat meat, it matters what that cow was eating when it was still alive. Because the nutrients that that cow was getting or not getting are going to be passed on to you when you eat the meat. And a similar thing happens with our friends. The emotions and thoughts and feelings that your friends get from their friends are going to be passed on to you. We eat what our friends eat in terms of emotions and energy. A similar concept to this is the concept of mirror neurons. An article published in the Journal of the National Academy of Sciences titled Neural Mechanisms of Empathy in Humans found that mirror neurons in our brain are partly responsible for our feelings of empathy. In other words, we literally mirror other people's emotions and we have neurons in our brains that allow us to do that. These mirror neurons become activated when we interact with other people, meaning that we literally absorb by mirroring other people's emotions and energy, which means that we have to be very careful who we spend our time with, as well as take into account who the people that we hang around with are hanging around, because those people, our friends, are going to be mirroring their emotions and their energy, and then we're going to be mirroring our friends' emotions and our friends' energy. And finally, taking all of this into account, it is still very important to take into account the cognitive bias known as the negativity bias. The negativity bias states that we respond more strongly and therefore are more influenced by negative emotions and negative thoughts than positive emotions and thoughts. Or in scientific terms, we are more influenced and affected by negative stimuli than positive stimuli. A big part of the reason for this is that we as human beings have been wired to survive. And so when something good happens to us, that's great, but it's not as important as when something bad is happening to us, because that bad thing could kill us. And so our brain, because it's wired to survive, it's wired to take into account the negative stimuli much more strongly than the positive stimuli. While it's great to have good things happen to us, it's much more important to not let the bad things kill us. At least that's how our brain thinks. And so because of this, we're much more influenced by negative news, negative people than we are by positive news and positive people. And so taking this into account, we want to curate our news feeds and our social media feeds and the people that we hang around with far more positive people and far more positive news and far more positive influences than negative, because we have to make up for that negativity bias. So now that we've gone over why negativity is so contagious, let's go over 4 action steps that we can start taking today to remove negative people and negative influences. The first is to learn to identify energy vampires. Now, I love this concept because I am a big believer in energy. I think that pretty much anything that happens in our world is because of energy. Energy moves and it creates something, energy moves another way and it creates something else. Energy moves away from something and something dies, etc. And us as humans, we are essentially, in a sense, balls of energy. And when somebody, maybe one of your friends, is struggling, but they don't want to put in the work to do something about it, to either improve themselves or improve the situation, oftentimes these people, as a coping mechanism, will seek to suck the energy, the positive energy, out of you, kind of like an energy vampire. And the reason they do this is because if they can just suck the energy out of you instead of generating good energy themselves, then they don't have to put in the work. But the problem with this is that it leaves you depleted, and not only does it leave you depleted, but very interestingly, when they have depleted you of all your energy, they will eventually end up resenting you because they can't suck the energy out of you anymore. And so what this looks like in real life is people that are always complaining, always sucking the energy out of everything. If you tell them about a goal that you have in life, they're going to bring you down. Anytime you talk to them, it's always complaining about this person or this thing or something is happening to them and life is terrible. And so not only are they infusing you with negative energy, but oftentimes because they can't generate positive emotions on their own, if you are somebody that can generate positive emotions on your own, and on top of that, especially if you are somebody who is very giving and very kind, then they will try to suck that positive energy out of you, and you will allow that because you are a good person and you want to see that person succeed. But in the end, that relationship dynamic does not work. Understand that you don't need a logical reason to explain to others why you are removing them from your life or why you are cutting contact with them or why you are limiting contact with them. If you deeply feel that somebody is not good for you, that is good enough reason to let them go. It's your life and others are not entitled to feel a certain way about your decisions. Second action step is to understand the difference between constructive criticism and chronic negativity. Chronic negativity is whenever somebody's always complaining about something in their lives, or whenever you bring something up that is positive about your life, they always try to crap on it every single time without fail, or almost every single time without fail. Now, constructive criticism is a little bit different because once they have given you the constructive criticism about something that you want to do, if you continue to talk about it again, as long as it's not something that is going to kill you, they're probably just going to sit down and listen to you and hear you out. They're not going to constantly try to throw negativity and throw shade onto you. And so constructive criticism not only is something that is more acute as opposed to chronic, but it also doesn't make you feel chronically put down. In other words, chronic negativity creates this constant ball of low-level negative energy that you just feel pervasive in your life. Whereas constructive criticism is more like a little punch that you feel, and it might sting, but eventually it goes away and you can use it to better yourself. Understanding the importance between these two is incredibly important because the energy vampires and the negative people that want to infuse negativity into your life will try to pretend like they are just giving you constructive criticism, and that because you don't let them infuse you with their negativity, that you are therefore somehow sensitive or can take criticism. But if you are clear on the difference between chronic negativity, putting someone down, and constructive criticism that is meant to build someone up, then you can respectfully tell that person to leave. Action step number 3, curate your social media feed. Now, this one is extremely important, especially right now, depending on when you watch this. It is an election cycle, and everything that you are seeing on your social media feed, maybe not everything, it depends on who you follow, but a lot of what you may be seeing on your social media feed is politically related. And 90% of that stuff is just negative, and it's going to make you feel bad about the world and maybe even yourself. But regardless of whether it's an election year or not, curating your social media feed so you see more of the positivity and the ambition and the you can do this kind of content, or content that reminds you, hey, the world is way better now than it was, say, 100 years ago. In other words, things that just make you feel good about where we are in life and where you are in life, and the fact that you can do so much and that we can do so much. That kind of stuff is going to make you feel a certain way. Now, the other kind of stuff, things that are always telling you about how terrible the world is, or maybe even things more subtle, like people trying to post pictures at the club or wherever, trying to show everybody how good of a life they have. You can look at that and you can realize exactly what is going on, and that negative energy can seep into you as you look at that kind of content. And so if all the content that you're seeing is people trying to pose and people trying to make it look like they have this great life, or trying to post pictures that are just literally designed to get likes, that's going to make you feel a certain way and it's going to make you think a certain way. But if your social media is curated to get all the positivity and all the ambition and all the you can do this and all that, look at how great the world is and look at how much greater we can even make the world still, that's going to make you feel a completely different way. That's going to make you think a completely different way, and it's going to make you behave and act in a completely different way, which means that you are going to end up getting completely different results. And as a result of feeling better, you are going to naturally be more productive, and as a result of being more confident and having more faith in the future, you are naturally going to be more productive because you're just going to want to get up and go. You're not going to be stopped by thinking to yourself, what's the point? You're going to be excited to go out and do things, and you're going to want to do as many things as you can. Now, the fourth action step is kind of an obvious one, but it's learn how to say no. Now, I made a video on that exact topic, how I learned to say no and why it's so important to learn the skill. You can click that video right here. And as always, if you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, tell me what you like, tell me what you want to see more of. And also feel free to check out the link in the description box below where you can sign up for my weekly email newsletter where I send you content like this via email every Monday to get you started for the week. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.